Life satisfaction and success. How often do you put those two together? Hi, I'm Janet Harvey, CEO of Invite Change, and I'm here to talk about why you want to put those two things together. So let's dive in. Satisfaction is something that all of us learn pretty early on, is the sweetness of life, the opportunity to have joy and loving relationships and safety and security, all kinds of things that, sweet satisfaction. Or maybe, as the Rolling Stones said, I can't get no satisfaction. So we're always in this question of how satisfied am I? And oftentimes what we do is we replace satisfaction with the pursuit of success. So how do you define success? Some of us define success by achievement and accomplishment and being well rewarded for it. Financially, certainly, but also that other people regard us in a positive way. They see us as something useful. We've made a contribution. We are someone to be a role model and follow. Maybe we are someone who inspires, and those are how we define our success. And yet, what I notice most often when I'm working with executives in organizations or even someone who's come to me because they're in a transition in their personal life, they start by talking about success defined by external circumstances. What does everybody else expect of me? What does it mean to have been successful in my professional life or in my family life or in my community life? All very outside in. And in almost the same breath, they'll say, it's just not satisfying. And in that moment, they've begun to realize that there's more to life. Oh my gosh, we're hearing the cliche, right? There's more to life than how many hours you spent at the office. I think I even saw it in the Wall Street Journal last week, somebody writing about nobody will talk at your eulogy after you die about how many hours and how many people you engaged with in your professional vocation. They're going to talk a lot about how you made them feel. And that's what life satisfaction is all about. So I wonder what opens for all of us by putting an and between satisfaction and success. In other words, one without the other is not nearly as enlivening and creating vitality for us. So how do we make decisions that says, success for me is publishing my book because I've written it, but the satisfaction comes in knowing I liberated my voice. It doesn't matter how many people read it or how many books I sell. The fact that I've had an opportunity to express myself and I've taken the risk to let that be seen, that's deeply satisfying to me. And because I can put those two things together, I now can celebrate that and my mind is open. I can move on to something else. I'm not chasing success or feeling guilty for not having satisfaction. So that's my request, that you explore a little bit the yes and. Life satisfaction. Yes, it's important, and we must claim and own it. And pursue success because it feeds your life satisfaction, not because somebody else wants you to do it. I'm working with a leader in Saudi Arabia who is part of the movement to create events for people to come together and gather, which is not very much in their history, but is part of their transformation. And when we first started working together, the attention was on how do I be successful in the eyes of the internal ministry that's sponsoring entrepreneurs to do this work. Very, very dedicated, very focused, wanting to get the action plan in place, making sure the team was all set up to execute. And somewhere along the way, this person showed up in a coaching session and said, none of this feels right, but I can't figure it out. Why doesn't it feel right? We have a good plan. The plan's been approved. We've been able to get funding. The team is working on the project, but it feels really hollow to me. And the more we explored it, we started to examine what is satisfaction for this person? What is their experience of working with their team in the ministry and their customers and the events when they produce them. And she started to talk about the excitement of the people who came to the event. And she was describing the laughter and the pleasure and watching her community of people be in this delight and almost a childlike wonder because they weren't used to being able to gather in this way and to be in community with each other. That was transforming. And in that moment, this leader connected to what was compelling about launching this business. It had nothing to do with what she originally thought, which was, let me be more effective in working with the internal ministry to make sure that our company will get off the ground and that I can grow the business and have it extend into other parts of the country beyond our major city. And as she began to recognize that it required a bit of balance with staying connected to the emotional feelings, if she was going to sustain the business, it completely changed the way she started to think about running team meetings and how she would talk to customers about what they would experience by sponsoring a particular kind of event and the way they would imagine and manufacture the experience for the community that gathered. And in that balancing of success in the traditional way of thinking about it with the quality that was inspiring and compelling action, she began to have a great deal more fun. And she's doubled the size of the company in 9 months. So I want to give you a way to explore this a little more deeply for yourself. And I'm going to give you 2 words, and this is a practice for yourself. Yes and. Yes, I've felt wonderful collegiality with my peers because our team did something that everybody's aspiring to, and now they're asking for my guidance. And that feels great. And yes, my team did things that they didn't think they could. And they're super excited about seeing new opportunities that are outside of what their comfort zone was. And they trust themselves to do it, which makes me feel very proud. And yes, we have lots of ideas coming towards us that they want us to work on. And the team has said, let's make sure that we know how we created our success and say, come back to us in 2 weeks when we've had a chance to recover and take a look at our lessons learned and make sure that we've really got a solid foundation before we take on a new assignment. Now that all feels like a sustainable approach, and it is satisfying and successful at the same time. So this is really about mindset, the yes and mindset. I've walked through an example. Now it's your turn. Practice it for yourself. And oh, by the way, great thing to share with your team because they're just like you, driving for success and maybe overlooking what creates the sense and feeling and vitality of satisfaction. And if you want something more on leadership, have a look over here. There's some more videos for you that will take this even a step further.